This is your boy, Call the Truth, coming to you once again with that factual actual. Welcome to my show, Let's Talk About It. This is a show where you get to come on and you get to tell your story. This is a show where you get to set the record straight. This is a show where you get to actually leave your legacy. Once again, welcome to my show, Let's Talk About It. Good afternoon. Welcome to my show, Let's Talk About It. Today I'm here with no other than Annapolis' own Larry, the legend, Dobson.
Appreciate it.
What's going on?
Hey, I'm good, man.
Good, man.
Blessed to be here, of course.
Yeah.
Happy to be here, of course. You know that.
Yeah.
I appreciate, like I said, I appreciate everything.
Hey, man, I just appreciate you actually taking the time out to sit down and talk to us. You know, one of the things that I've really been big on lately, and I shared the story a while ago, but maybe a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, I'm in the gym and I'm playing basketball, and I'm playing with some youngins, and you know they kind of doing their thing. Mm-hmm. One went to Broadneck, one went to Annapolis. I think the other one went to Southern, and they were just talking about the great things that they were doing. Mm-hmm. So one guy was like, "Yeah, I was scoring 15 points a game," and I mean, they really were hyping up what they were doing, right? Yeah. And they were good players. Don't get me wrong, but the point of the story, I was like, man, have you heard of these names? And I started naming names of individuals, you know, whose school that they went to. They was like, no, I never heard it. I was like, you know what? We got to do something about that. There's no way in the world that you can don a uniform and not have an idea of the trailblazers that came before you. Yeah. So that's how the idea came out. And when I reached out to you, I was just grateful, man, that you were able to kind of share your insight and we can tell your story, because you have an amazing story, man. When you think about where you came from playing strikeout down Bywaters to just an amazing story. And I'm gonna let you tell that. Okay. So let's go back. It's mid '80s. Okay.
Jeez.
It's the mid '80s, and
I really gotta think about that one.
Yeah.
I'm getting old.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
But this love for baseball, let's start there. Where did this sensation, this love, this burn that you have for this game, where did it come from?
Like I said, honestly, my mom just playing fast pitch softball, you know, and going to her games every week. That's where it started, you know, and just obviously, you know, it was all females, but you know, just to see them throw the ball and whip the ball around, and, you know, just them having fun and the fish fries and the cookouts, and I'm like, yo, this is the amazing part. Of, you know, just growing up with my brothers, you know how competitive they were. Yeah. You know, more of football, but you know, more of all sport. They couldn't play basketball. Yeah. Easy. So just getting with them and you know, playing strikeout every day with them on behind, because we lived on the corner in Bywaters. Okay. In the second court. We were right by the old pond. You know, the pond. Uh-huh. So just playing behind there, you know, with them and playing strikeout with them and learning switch hitting and stuff like that. I'm like, damn, I could be good at this.
I guess you probably say, hey, listen, if I can hit a tennis ball with a broomstick, right? You give me a bat, I should be able to do some damage with it, right?
And plus I had a glove. Yeah. So, you know, my mom gave me her glove when she retired from her sport, and I took it with me. Yeah. And you know, fortunately, you know, we separated as kids. I went to live with my dad in Glen Burnie area, which I played for Marley. Right. And you know, my mom and my brothers and my other sister, they all were still down here in Annapolis. So, you know, living up there with my dad, it was like a totally different animal. Yeah. Because then I went around, you know, I wasn't like, it wasn't an African American setting. Right. It was more of, you know, a Caucasian setting, and you know, I had to establish myself as, you know, a baseball player, because not too many African Americans play baseball that way. Gotcha. So, you know, the coaches I played for up there, young Paul Plews and Joe Carlson, you know, they took me in like we were their own family. That's what's up. So I definitely tried my best to play hard for him anytime that, you know, that he coached us. And, you know, he coached us for, you know, a good, 5 or 6 years. So, all right, take us through that experience, because the one thing that was always known, it was well established, we knew you could play baseball. And then it just seemed like, okay, Larry from Annapolis, he plays baseball.
we know your lineage, we know your brother, we know your mother, then it just seemed like you just disappeared.
Yes.
Right. So now, in the process of you disappearing and going to play in the Rundle, right? Did the experience that you took with you, that you learned playing in Annapolis, did it translate, or was there like
well, not so much translated.
Right.
It almost was like they prepared me for it.
Got it.
They prepared me for it.
Okay.
So, like, my brother, of course, the competitor that he was,
right?
He always, even when fighting back then, he was like, "Hey, don't let nobody beat you up.
Right.
Somebody beat you up,
right.
I'm gonna come beat you up." Right. Of course, because they already had their cliques up there, they already had their teams. I had to fit in.
Right.
So once I showed them what I could do, I think that they respected the game from me,
gotcha.
Even more, and I became more family. So, every summer after baseball was over, I would come back to Annapolis, and and they still played strikeout. This is when my mom, she moved out to Boston Heights, so I met a couple guys out there that were just as good as I was.
Okay,
and I was shocked.
Who were some of them guys?
So I gotta say his name. William Brooks.
Okay,
we'll call him Fat Man.
Yeah.
So he was a little bit older than me, but this kid can actually hit my curveball.
Okay,
and showed me how to throw a better curveball. So I'm looking at this guy like, first of all, I didn't know he was my cousin.
Okay,
so we found out we're cousins. So now we become like best friends.
Right.
So I'm looking like, dang, this kid is just as good as I am.
Uh-huh.
And then there was another guy that people, if I tell you this name, people will be like, no way. Nunu.
Green.
Yes.
Okay.
Nunu was probably the best strikeout guy I ever played against at our age.
Really?
Oh, really? And Fat Man could tell you. This guy can play the game of baseball. And I think that me going up to Glen Burnie area, Marley area,
right.
I got like a little bit more of an advantage then, because they had teams in Annapolis,
right.
like Mount Olive and stuff like that, Powell and stuff. But these kids didn't play for them,
right?
And honestly, if Nunu and Fat Man could have came up and played with me in my area that I was living in, I think these kids probably would be, right on the same level as some of these guys that's, as good as I am.
Wow.
Or good as I was.
Okay.
And I always talk about those two.
Yeah.
And people like, like, don't let it fool you.
Yeah, well, the Greens, all the Greens were, I'm talking about from Ronaldo to, everyone knows Reno, of course. Yeah. Reno, Ronaldo, them boys are pure athletes.
Oh, and another guy that, I have to give props to is Lely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Sylvester Hopkins, yes, sir.
So that guy.
Yeah.
One of the best catchers, because he used to catch me all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I should throw the ball all over the place.
Yeah.
He used to catch everything.
Yeah.
And I give him mad respect because you look at these guys, some of these guys, you look at and be like, this guy can't play baseball.
Yeah.
But yes, he can. So that's where the respect comes in. So, that ride from Bob Waters to Marley.
Yeah.
I had a whole bunch of adversity that I dealt with up there, with Marley, Revere Beach, and Haven.
Oh, yeah.
But all those guys I played against, in high school, they still respect us to this day, me and my cousin. They respect us to this day.
Gotcha.
And I'm going to tell you one little story about that. So when I got up there, we played for Paul Plews.
Okay.
So we had a group of 5 black guys, African American. Me, my cousin Rodney, a guy named Jackie Parker, a guy named Brian Sedgwick, and a guy named Jermaine Brown. Jamar Brown.
Okay.
Right. Now, that was the 5 guys that was on the team. So we won the championship that year.
Okay.
Right. So that next year, they put us all on this team because they thought we couldn't play.
Right.
We won the championship. That next year, they broke us up.
Can't put y'all
on the same team anymore.
Right.
So they broke us all up. So I think Jermaine, Rodney, and me, we all stayed on the team. They took Jackie Parker and Brian Cedric away from us. Rest his soul. He passed away as well. So that tells you how good we were up there.
Wow.
They separated our team.
Yeah.
So then we won the championship again. And our coach, Paul Plews, he decided that was it for him. He was done, which was great. We played for that guy for 5 years. It was great. So my father took over.
Okay.
My father took over, and then Brian Cedric came back to us. So my father and his father were the coaches.
Okay.
Now, let me tell you how bad that was. Now, every year you get your uniform.
Right.
You do the parade. You get your equipment from the president of Marley,
right.
whoever the president is. So we go to get equipment from him. Of course, he has no equipment for us. He gives us one bat. One. The whole team had to use one bat.
Wow.
One bat. What'd that tell you?
Yeah, that's pretty obvious.
Pretty obvious.
That's pretty obvious. We know what it is, right?
My father's first time coaching,
right.
Cedric's first. We ended up going 13-5 that year, even though we lost
right.
to Haydenwood. But we had one bat for the whole year. While other teams had brand new bats, brand new equipment. So that was my last year playing up there. And then I went to Arundel.
So you transitioning from, and it's funny because I felt like you was prepped for that too.
Yeah.
Going through that adversity, going through your youth league up there, developing a name, then actually going to Arundel and being the only African American on the team.
Two.
Okay. That says a lot. That says a lot. So let's talk about that. So now you're going into Arundel, right? Mm-hmm. You're trying out for this perennial all-star. Was the expectation already there that you were going to be on the team? Or was it almost like, okay, let's wait and see what happens. Let's see how he develops. What was that process like?
So the process started before I got to Arundel. So I was at Arundel Middle first.
Right.
So when I was so back then, you were a sophomore, that's when you be into high school.
Right.
It wasn't freshman.
Right.
So middle school was 7th, 8th, and 9th. Mm-hmm. So I was at Arundel Middle.
Right.
So just so happened that the PE teacher was Kess. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Kess had taught my father, taught me, so he knew that I played baseball. So when I was in 9th grade, he brought Bernie Waters down, who is the varsity coach at the high school.
Okay.
So he brought him down to talk to me. And I remember him, he had these glasses, and I'm looking at this guy like, he was like, yeah, I heard you play baseball. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, are you any good? I said, I don't know.
Right.
And he said, well, when you come up here, we'll see. So I'm like, okay. So I met him. Right. That was the first time I met him. Mm-hmm. So.
Now, did you have that feeling like this was kind of a sarcastic, let's see?
Of course.
Or did you? Okay.
Of course.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Well, because of what I was.
Right.
Of course. Mm-hmm. So the trial was like, all eyes were like on me.
Right.
Because they had another African-American kid. His name was Bruce, who was already on varsity. He was a senior when I was a sophomore. So here it is. You got your two African-American guys, and they wanted to see what I could do.
Right.
He put his best pitcher out there. Of course, I hit 3 doubles off him there.
Right.
So then we go through, fielding and all that stuff. So did all of that.
Right.
So the last drill that we went through was just seeing how hard you could throw. First throw, I got 81. So the second time, I threw 81 again. And then the third time, I threw 84.
Okay.
Which I really tried to, I didn't even really try to throw it hard, but I threw. So, all right, they see that. Everybody's talking. You know how the buzz is going around. So they picked the team, and I made varsity. Okay. So I'm the only sophomore in varsity that year. So I'm like, yes. Inside, I'm telling my dad, and I'm like, yeah, I made it.
Right.
So then, how when you do the newspaper clipping of what to look for, what your team's going to look like. So, of course, we got a sophomore, Larry Dobson, throwing 84 miles per hour.
Had to leave.
So I'm like, look, now I'm like, in the paper?
Right.
Yo, I call my mom. I'm like, Mom, get the paper. I'm in the paper.
Right? Yeah.
So,
the Capitol,
at that time, Paps was locked up.
Yeah.
So, we talk to Paps every couple, every now and then.
Right.
So I remember talking to him. He was like, yo, I said, I got all the clipping.
Yeah.
So this is the crazy part, dog. Let's skip forward a little bit. So every time I was in the paper, Paps had all the clippings. He's locked up.
Yeah.
He's got all the clippings.
Yeah.
I'm like, So I'm kind of hyped a little bit.
Yeah.
So then, of course, long story short, so the first game we played a scrimmage against Mount St. Joe. Didn't get in that game. So I didn't get in any games until we played the Easter tournament.
Okay.
So we're playing Jefferson. They're from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
They were ranked like 3rd in the nation that year, and we were ranked like 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
So I get in that game, and I'm on the mound.
You starting?
No, I didn't start. I got relief.
Gotcha. Okay.
Relief.
Okay.
So I get on the mound, right? And I'm nervous. I'm like, oh my god. So ended up I threw an inning. I threw 2 strikeouts, 1 walk, and that was my only inning I pitched.
Okay.
For that that tournament. So I'm like, I just put my name on the map a little bit.
Right.
So long story short, that whole year I ain't do nothing else.
Okay.
I ain't play. Didn't have no at bats my sophomore year, but I'm on varsity.
Right.
So at that time, the JV coach his name was Charles O'Hara. He wanted me to come down to JV and play, and I'm like all for it.
Right. You just want to.
I just want to play.
I just want to play. Right.
Varsity. I'm just sitting there. I'm not doing anything. I'm learning the system and stuff, which you got to put in your role. You got to put in your time.
Yeah. Especially
exactly.
Yeah.
But my whole point was like, if you're gonna put me on varsity, why I'm not playing?
Right.
So I'm getting in my mind like, I'm not playing, so why should I be here?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that season go by, and then I played some ball for him and everything for Mayo American Legion, get better. Junior year I start.
Right.
Started like the first 10 games, and then for some reason he took me out. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm. So now at this point you're playing 2 positions, right?
I'm playing
shortstop.
I'm playing no, actually. So I didn't play shortstop anymore. He didn't have me. I didn't try out for shortstop. He had me at first base, right field, and pitcher.
Okay.
So he limited what positions I could play.
Gotcha.
So junior year, I didn't get any starts at pitching.
Okay.
None.
Right.
Didn't pitch not near a game. None. And I can't figure out this why I'm not pitching?
Right.
At least I should be pitching.
Right. At least relief, right?
Something,
yeah, right.
Junior year, I get like 30 at bats that year. I think I had like 11 hits, but he used me as a pinch hitter.
Okay.
Junior year, I didn't play. I'm I'm frustrated.
Right.
So that summer, I played for Mel Montgomery, which is Corrigan's, and that was in Baltimore. He's also the coach at Ole Mill.
Gotcha.
But also, my basketball career started taking off. I started getting good at basketball.
Right.
So junior year didn't play. Senior year comes basketball. I'm all county.
Right.
And I get to play in the Metro All-Star game.
And
that game was the same time we scrimmaged Mount St. Joe for baseball.
Okay.
Scrimmage.
Right.
So of course I get permission. Mm-hmm. I say to my coach, I'm like, look, I'm playing in this Crown All-Star game for basketball. Can I go?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure, go. So I go, missed the scrimmage. First game of the year, next scrimmage, we played Calvert Hall. And I didn't play. And I had people in the stands from NC State and Bowie State.
Right.
I didn't play. And my dad was like, why you ain't play? I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
So my dad says to Bernie, if you don't play my son next game, we're leaving. See, mind you, I was only 16.
Right.
So then my senior year, that's when they brought freshmen up.
Okay.
So I had another year of eligibility to play baseball.
So this is 92 maybe? 91? 91, okay. 91. Gotcha.
So I had another year of eligibility.
Okay.
So my dad was going to sit me the whole year, and I was going to go play for Ole Mill. Because where we lived, I could have played for Ole Mill or Rumpel.
Gotcha.
So he saw the light and started playing me. So I ended up being in all county my senior year.
Right.
Mind you, only pitched 1 game. And then it just dawned on me that, me being the only African American on the team,
right?
If you wasn't playing in their system or playing to what they say, you weren't playing.
Right.
Then you gotta think about college. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm trying to go to one of these colleges that I got letters from.
Right.
I didn't know how to apply.
Right.
So I ended up going to Catonsville for a semester.
But Catonsville
we were good. We were damn good.
Yeah.
So go to Catonsville for a semester, and I ended up transferring to Bowie State.
Okay.
So played there 1 year, and then I got drafted.
Okay.
That was 93.
Oh. When I think about the talent I've seen, talent we played against, or just growing up in the same areas that we grew up, it's like, and then after, like I said, I graduated 89. So 89, I'm in the military, I'm overseas. So I'm still kind of doing my thing on a different level. But at the same time, I'm seeing talent from around the world, and I'm saying to myself, bro, there's no way in the world that you can tell me all the talent in Anne Arundel County between Annapolis, Southern Maryland, Fort Meade. There's no way in the world you can't tell me that the ratio of talent that we had, that we shouldn't have more representation playing D1 ball, playing pro ball. So I always kind of question that. And then even when you start thinking about Annapolis, when you think about all the talent that came out of Annapolis High, come on, man. Come on. It's ridiculous the stumbling blocks that have always been put in the way of a certain caliber of athlete.
But you got to think about it, because what I just said, a lot of us don't know how to get to that next level.
Right.
Unless you're super talented.
Right.
Which we had a bunch of guys that were super talented.
Right.
That went to college and stuff like that. But what about the guys that weren't super talented? How did they go about getting to the league? And I'm going to tell you, I had to go to Oklahoma. To get looked at. In 93.
Okay.
I had to go to Oklahoma to get looked at, to get offered something.
Wow. So now, all right, let's talk about that journey. So how did you end up showcasing in Oklahoma? Who was you dealing with?
So it was a guy. His name was Monty. I played some just some semi-pro ball in Altoona.
Okay. That's heavyweight.
Right. So he told me about opportunities that were outside of the state.
Okay.
So he flew me down. We did the it was a trial basically.
Okay.
So basically, if you didn't do certain things in this trial, they would cut you right then and there.
Gotcha.
So, long story short, with them, I finished the trial with them. They called me that next day. I was ready to go back home. They called me that next day. It was like, hey, Cleveland is looking at you really heavy. So I said, okay, Cleveland. I'm like, okay, something,
Right.
So I went back home. I got a call that night when I was with my dad. I got a call that night, Cleveland Indians, I want to talk to you.
Okay.
So I said, okay. So I talked to him, whatever. And hey, it's not a big contract, but it'll get you in the door. You'll be there.
Yeah.
I hopped on it.
Right.
Hopped on it. Played for them for, their rookie affiliate for 3 years. Tore my quad really bad.
Okay.
Came back and I ended up playing for Aberdeen.
Okay.
They were called the Ducks before they were called the Ironbirds.
Oh, really?
Billy Rippon. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I tried out for Orioles. I went to their trials a couple times. And, I thought I did well. And, of course, there's always no call.
Yeah.
So, after a while, you just look at it like, hey, I'm playing baseball.
Yeah.
Some of the guys I played for was just more of, what can you do for me?
Right.
Now, what can you do for me?
Gotcha.
What can I do for them?
Right.
So prime example, I'm in Binghamton, New York.
Okay.
Right? If you think about it, that's up north.
Yeah.
One of the racist towns you will ever play in. So I'm playing in the stadium and playing for this guy, and another guy whose son plays on the team was doing our stats.
Okay.
So I'm playing first base that day, and it was a tough hop. So the ball hit to me, a tough hop, hit off my shoulder, went that way, and a run scored.
Right.
So I was upset with myself because it was something I should have made the play.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm going in the dugout, I take my glove and I throw it against the wall. And it ricochets off the wall, hits like a batting helmet and hits this guy, like on the shoulder. Mm-hmm. So when I'm walking in, when it happened, he's, excuse my language, he says, "You fucking nigger." Here I am, 18 years old.
Right.
He said that.
Right.
Coaches, everybody heard him.
Right.
The head coach heard him. So me being 18,
right,
I'm like apologizing. Oh, I'm sorry, blah blah blah. Yeah. But the whole time I'm thinking to myself, yo, he just called me an N-word.
Right.
He just called me an N-word, and my head coach didn't do nothing. I said to myself, I'm like, you think about it afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm like, did he really just say the N-word to me?
Right.
Yes, he did.
It's crazy. Folks, had you ever thought about really focusing on basketball the way that you did baseball?
Now I am. The only reason why, because my son's plays. My son.
Well, no, I'm talking about back then. I'm talking about even in '93.
I did, yes.
Okay,
So back then, that's when I started playing in the Chesapeake League. So I was also playing basketball at Crownsville.
Yeah.
Remember, we used to play every Sunday.
Uh-huh.
So instead of me going to our games on Sunday, I started just playing basketball with Zap and all of them.
Yeah.
And we had so much fun at Crownsville every Sunday. So baseball was starting to be on the back burner.
Yeah.
Right? And then when I took over full-time playing basketball was in 98.
Yeah.
My last year in the Chesapeake League, my brother can tell you, we lost our last game in the playoffs, and I threw all my stuff in the woods. I started playing basketball down the Y. And,
gotcha.
For Stanton Center, played down there for like 15 years.
Yeah. Let's go back to you in the Chesapeake League for the first time.
Yes.
All right. So let's talk about that whole experience, the whole New Breed experience, playing with your brother. So take us into what you're thinking, what you're feeling. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
What your apprehension about playing? I mean, where are you going with it?
No, I love playing there.
Yeah.
Because of the way they treated us.
Yeah.
At that time, playing down Galesville, playing down Charles County, Drury, how the parties was afterwards, the fish fries, man. I mean, that atmosphere was lovely.
Charged.
And then I'm hanging with my brother.
Yeah.
Like, I'm playing with my brother, dog, and it's like, yo.
Here it is. You had a great career. You done came up through the county system. You done came through the high school system. You done played semi-pro. You done played travel pro league. So now, here it is. You get an opportunity to coach at the same school that you actually helped win a championship.
Yeah.
And again, I can't emphasize this enough. It's not just any school.
Yeah.
You talking about Arundel baseball.
Man, I'm still tickled. Honestly, like, my heart and soul is in Annapolis, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I was born and raised pretty much most of my life. But my heart is at Arundel.
Yeah.
It's like the opportunity came up. I was at a bull roast with my wife. We went to support Arundel baseball. At a bull roast and met the coach. But prior to that, he had the bull roast. He had recognized 1991 state championship team, which I was a part of.
So this is what, 20 years later, maybe? Or
no, 29 years later, almost 30.
Okay.
So he's recognizing our team.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, that's awesome. So when I went to this bull roast, we had a conversation. The head coach, the varsity coach, we had a conversation. It was great. And I'm like, I'm really kind of honored to speak with him and, for him to do that for our team.
Right.
So then maybe like 2 or 3 months later, I get an email or I get a text like, Arundel has a position opening and your name came up. He texted me and I'm like, my name came up for coaching? And I'm like, now I'm like kind of excited a little bit because not only is it a coaching job, but it's at Arundel where I went, where I bled, Kelly Green. And I'm like, I'm excited now. I'm like, we sat down, we had a conversation, and I'm like, I accept.
Yeah.
So he was like, well, here's what I came up with. I'm gonna make you the head coach of JV, and I'm gonna make the JV coach my assistant. So I'm like, when he said that, I'm like, so I was like, nah, I don't want. I think I'm not going to take that job. Right. So I've never been on JV before. You're not alone coaching. I'm thinking I'm gonna be next to him. So I'm like, nah. But then, my wife, she was like, well, this could be a great opportunity. For you to get your foot in the door. And so I'm like, 2 weeks later, I called him back and was like, is that opportunity still available? He was like, yeah. So I became the JV coach.
Okay.
So, I'm going through all the meetings and stuff like that, and it comes to find out that Anne Arundel County decided to have a county championship for JV, which they never did before. So now the stakes are high. I'm like, yo, my assistant that we hired, I'm talking to him and we gonna win that.
Yeah.
That was the goal.
Right.
And one of the things was, the goal was, of course, to get these kids ready for varsity.
Right.
So I had 2 freshmen that ended up going on varsity.
Okay.
One started.
Mm-hmm.
Well, both of them started. One pitcher, one outfielder. They went up and they did their thing, and they're like really good now. So those 2 freshmen were a part of our team that I thought was going to win the championship.
Right.
So
right.
we had to replace them.
Uh-huh.
So long story short, we started out 11-0.
Okay.
These kids were playing baseball I'm like, okay, I got a good team.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, Frank, I'm telling Frank, he's like, yeah, these kids are doing well. So then the Easter tournament comes.
Okay.
So Easter tournament comes, we host DeMatha and Howard High School, which we had beat earlier that year, which is, we beat them 10-4.
Okay.
So we playing DeMatha, of course. I'm like, okay, DeMatha, JV,
yeah.
okay, they're gonna be good. They want to be good. They laid down for that game. DeMatha ended up beating us like 18-8 or something like that.
Yeah.
We had like 12 errors that game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, uncharacteristic. Get our first loss.
Yeah.
All right, so we go past that. So then we play Howard the next game. Come to find out, they bring down some of their sophomores that were on varsity.
Right.
Because they wanted to beat us, of course. So they ended up beating us like 13-8. So we lost 2 straight games.
Okay.
So, at this point, I didn't even coach because I wanted them to feel the loss.
Right.
Because remember, if you don't teach humility to your kids,
right,
they'll never know.
Right.
So I didn't yell at them.
Mm-hmm.
I knew we had a lot of errors. I knew we played bad, and plus there was a premier team.
Yeah. What I really enjoyed seeing, man, I remember there's always been 2 Larrys, right? There's always that humble, cool dude from Annapolis, Larry, and there was always that dog that once you put them cleats on, the guy out there on that thing, you could see the switch. So, to go 30 years later and to see that same fire that you had back when you was playing, to see it while you coaching, that's dope.
Thank
you. You know what I'm saying? And that was a question that I had intended to ask you before the game is, does the game still impact you the same way that it used to when you were actually playing?
Yeah, well, competitive.
Yeah.
When you see a kid that has talent, and you've been through it, you want them to use their talent to the highest of their ability. Yeah. Some coaches want to see your good things.
Yeah.
But you got a lot of coaches that be like, yeah, I know you're doing good, but what do you do bad?
Yeah.
Because everybody got bad habits. Even coaches, even I got bad habits.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I got is, sometimes I get so caught up in the game, I don't look at little things sometimes. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I do. Yeah. But I'm so excited for these kids, especially when they do good. Mm-hmm. I be forgetting that, hey, let's look at the man that's coming around third. I'm looking at, the ball in the outfield. Yeah. As a coach, you got to look at everything. So it's a lot of bad things that I need to correct too as a coach. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But as far as the game itself, I try to study as much as I can.
Man, I was really impressed with your staff. So let's talk about that. So now the coaching staff that you currently have, now are those through relationships that were previously established, or how did you go about putting together the staff that you have?
Okay, so the staff we have now is pretty much the varsity staff. I didn't know any of them. Okay. I just knew them, like just meeting them. All right. But personally, I didn't know any of them. Got it. And then, like, the guys that you introduce you to that are parents. Yeah. Like, I knew a couple of them. Okay. Like, I didn't know them personally, but I've seen them. Yeah. And from what you can see and what you can tell, they're all good guys. Oh, yeah.
Do you I call it the Michael Jordan theory. Okay. You're a great player, right? But sometimes great players have a tendency to grade players according to their ability rather than their own. Was that ever an issue for you?
No, the one thing I do, I try to help them put out the best of their ability. Yeah. And not make the same mistakes I've made. Gotcha. Like as a player. Yeah. So because I played at a high level, any coaches that played at high levels and they know their sport. Right. Honestly, it's difficult to play for a coach that don't know the game.
What are you seeing that's going to kind of put us back to where we need to be in terms of developing talent from our community.
And I'm glad you asked. So my foundation is WW Foundation. Okay, and it's Wonder Woman. It's under my mom. So my vision was, at the time before the pandemic started, I hadn't, made an announcement about it. But my vision was, for these young kids that's, playing in these organizations that can't afford it, or you got these coaches that never get recognized.
Right.
My organization wanted to raise money for these kids, for somebody to get like a grant so they can, pay for their registration, pay for equipment that they might need to, play these sports. Do something like that with kids. Also, for like say these coaches, send them out on a dinner or something. Send them out on a date with their significant other through my organization. Just to know that they're recognized and greatly appreciated.
Absolutely.
We all want the accolades and everything like that, but until somebody does them,
right.
Tell somebody do something for you.
So do you think your son has to deal with the pressure of trying to, you think about his mom? No, when you think about his lineage on both sides.
Look,
when you start talking about the Johnsons and the Dobsons,
you let people tell it.
Right.
My son got his skills from my wife, and that's fine.
Right.
I'm cool with that.
Right.
But I tell you like this. It ain't no pressure on him. You know why? He tells me, Dad, I'm better than you.
Okay. No problem. I want you
Please be better than me. Please be. So you got to understand that I try to give my son everything I can.
Yeah.
Not saying I had everything I could.
Right.
Because when I needed something, I called Lewis.
Yeah.
Lewis,
Right.
I'm going to camp. I need some money.
I got you.
He got me. But my son, when he needs something,
he got it.
I'll go get it.
Yeah.
And not that he's spoiled or nothing like that. No, he's my son.
Yeah.
He earns it.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that goes for any kid that earns it. Hey, if I can help, I'm going to help.
Yeah. But you still got to think that's got to be a little bit of, because when you think about the, even on your wife's side of the family, when you start to hook, them boys were athletes.
They were.
Ty Johnson.
They were on top
and then and then come on your side. Then you got a Nugie and even I remember Paps, man. We would be out down gardens shooting, right? Geno Spriggs. I mean not Geno, Geno Tongue, Geno Tongue, Kurt just out there balling. Paps would just come out on the court. You know what I'm saying? He had jeans on or something like that. Oh man, give me the ball. Go out there and start shooting. You'd be like, oh, you just want to come and put in work like that? Just leave like it, like it into it.
It's so many different things that us African American people do in Annapolis and beyond.
Exactly.
That we could go everywhere with.
Exactly. We can, man.
Music, anything.
Name it. We can do it.
People like, you a Dobson? Can you sing? Like
that's kind of the expectation, right?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah,
I can.
Yeah.
I choose not to.
Right.
But that's all, man. It's
dope, man.
That's all that. But really quick, so. Before we end up, so this is the organization that I coach for, of course, at my high school.
Okay.
So this is my glove from 1993.
Okay.
Yeah, you see the emblem right there, don't you? Major League Baseball. So
okay.
I've had that since. That's my baby.
All right.
So this plaque right here is the plaque that they give us, individual plaque that they give us for winning state championship.
Okay.
Yeah, we won that game against Perry Hall. McGurty Field.
Okay.
So that's near and dear to me, and about that, and it's being near and dear to me.
Yeah.
The one guy I really wanted to shout out who really respected the whole game of baseball for me is named Paul Plews. I played a lot of years for him, and he's still alive. We talk every now and then, and I want to get him out next year to throw the first pitch out for my one of my teams.
Dope. Okay.
One of my games. And then, Denny Nagel being at Arundel, graduating way before me, but I met him. And, when he got drafted by Pittsburgh Pirates, we used to talk on the phone all the time. I was over his brother went to school with me.
Okay.
So we'd be over his brother's house all the time just to talk to Denny.
Right.
So whenever Denny would call, we would talk. And I saw him on TV, his debut. And he had number 15, which was my number.
Right.
And, after that game, we talked to him. I said, Denny, man, I mean, it's so honored to wear your number. And he was like, no, that's your number, man.
Right.
And he was so nice to me.
Yeah.
And so genuine.
Yeah.
And then, like, when he would come back, you know, just to spend time with the teams, you know, it was like love.
Yeah. That's dope.
Yeah. And I got a picture of, you know, when my oldest son, when Denny came back, I was at one of the games and he took a picture. He's like, yeah, come take a picture. You know, he's a professional athlete, making $20 million a year for Atlanta Braves.
Right.
He takes a picture with my son.
Yeah. That's dope.
That's respect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I respect him.
Yeah.
So the respect thing is like, yo, I could text him anytime. Hey, Denny, when you come, because he live in Colorado. When you coming in town? Yeah. Oh, I'll be coming.
Yeah.
When you come, I want you to talk to my boys.
Good deal.
No problem, Al.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
So when you get that out of professional players, that played at levels like that, and not only that, like the mayor, me and the mayor like this, of Annapolis, yo, he calls me like, hey, you want to meet up?
Yeah.
When you get that kind of respect from these type of people, it shows that you're doing something right.
It does, man.
And I try to just teach all my kids, my boys, my kids, you know, my team. I try to teach all of them that. Yeah. Try to live right. So I'm gonna tell you, and I can be totally honest with you because you're like family to me. When I seen myself, right, I knew I was good. But instead of me working harder to be better, then I kind of lacked a little bit in that sense. But what I didn't lack at was competitiveness.
Right.
And a lot of people took my competitiveness as my attitude. See, you got to understand that when you're playing on a team that I played on, teams I played on, when you're the only African American,
right?
Your level has to be here,
right?
And that's my level. It's competitive,
right? It's
not attitude. I play with a chip on my shoulder because I got to be better than anybody else that's next to me.
Gotcha. And that started early.
Starts early, yeah. It's got it. Yo, all of us can get together, and whether we have one big family and just do stories about everybody.
I want that, man. I definitely. And even eventually, first you got Nugie. I'm waiting for you, bro. You know you got to come on. Greg Pinkney, I'm waiting for you. Sean Sims, I'm waiting for you. Pete. You too, man. Be coming up.
You said Pete Golf?
Pete Golf, the body snatcher.
I can't tell you nothing about Pete. Let me tell you real quick. That's my boy. That's my boy because Pete could really be mad at me right now. He really could be.
He could be mad at you.
I'm gonna tell you what happened. I hit 12 RBIs in one game. I ended up hitting a grand slam to win the game. It was 16-16.
Right.
I hit a grand slam off him to win the game. So I hit 4 home runs total that game against him. Okay. And I know, like, every time I see him, he always laughs. but I tell you though, he was a competitor.
Yeah.
You know, he was a competitor. That's what I liked about Pete. You know, he'll get on that mound anytime. Definitely, you know, I want to definitely send a shout out to my wife, of course, you know, Nahuya Dobson, you know, she, you know, being supportive of everything that we do and I do, and you know, my sons, you know, all my sons, my mom, of course. Gotta send a shout out to her.
Hey, man.
Old Elizabeth. You know, my one best friend that I gotta, you know, send a shout out to. My pops, you know, my cousin Rod, who I want you definitely to meet. Okay. You know, the DJ, you know DJ, Rod, you know what I mean? So that's another avenue we can go to. And, you know, and lastly but not least, Brian Bruce. Gotta say the shout out to Brian Bruce, you know what I mean? He let me play down a while with his team for a long time, so I definitely got to send out a shout out to him.
Got to get him on too.
JD, keep doing your thing. My son loves what you're doing. OJ, OJ, got to send a shout out to all of y'all. Dario Jones from being my godfather to my son. Okay. And Carol Monger, the godmother to my son. You know what I mean? So after that, I'm done with it. You know what I mean? Everybody else know how I feel about them. Love all my friends and family. You know I love all of y'all, each and every one of y'all, no doubt.
And we love the city of Annapolis. Put that out there.
Yes, sir. Annapolis, nap time. In Arundel.
Oh,
and a new one. Gambrels. Okay. Shout out to my boys at Gambrels. All right. That's our last joint.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
So there we go. Let's talk about it with Carl and Larry. Peace.
Appreciate you.